Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 215, Sam's 35 kg weight loss journey. I want to start this episode by saying that if you watch our Instagram Reels or our podcast on YouTube, you will have noticed something over the last 9 months that is now blaringly obvious, and that is the change in the face shape of you, Sam. It is very obvious, and I am so proud of you for what you have achieved over this last 9 months. Like, it makes me feel teary that you have committed to your health this year, and health being your word of the year. And I think that there are many listening who are struggling like you were. And I think this is a really important topic to talk about because I think it's going to help so many.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot hearing you say that, actually, because it has been a journey and it hasn't always been easy. And I'm really proud of myself, but my personality style means that I do actually really love it when other people tell me that they think I've done a good job as well.
Words of affirmation?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely one of my love languages for sure. Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot. I started off 2024 was going to be my word for the year, and my planner is healthy. So it wasn't just losing weight. I just wanted to overall look at my whole life and just make it healthier, because I knew if I could do that in a load of different aspects, then I would then become a happier person. And as you know, we were both in a very, very low place at the end of last year coming out of burnout. And I don't think the word happy could was one that would describe either one of us for a good few months there. So
yeah,
I knew I needed to make some changes to become happy Sam again. Like, I missed happy Sam.
And isn't it so clear how being healthier and feeling happier go hand in hand, and they also flow into every aspect of your life? So I bet your family notices the change in you, and I bet your businesses benefit from you being healthier and happier too.
Yeah, how can it not? You know, I think your whole vibe changes, your soul changes, the way your brain works, like everything.
Your thoughts, how you think, right?
Yeah, your thought process, And but you know what? That's scary as well. When you do make that much change, you kind of think, oh my gosh, okay, are all these changes, yes, they're good for me personally, but am I going to change so much that other people then are kind of like, oh, well, do I like this version of Sam?
It's an entire identity shift, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've changed completely as if like it's a completely different version of Sam. Like, the version of Sam that is here with you today is a version that other people got many years ago, but that's still a shock to those that are closest to me. And that's scary. It's
Have
scary
your
for me.
kids said anything?
The kids.
Yeah.
Angus gets a real kick, I think, around the weight loss side. We're very careful about how we've been talking about my journey with the kids. I grew up in a house where, although looking back now, I can see that my mother hit probably around the same age in terms of wasn't happy with her health. And, you know, she went through her own journey and stuff. And she was very aware, like, she never used the word fat, never used the word overweight, never used the word diet. And so I never grew up being really aware of that. And I, as an adult looking back, I was always very thankful for Mum for instilling healthy body image, I guess, you know what I mean? So So going through this, I've been very aware of the language that I've used with the children. But I think in terms of the way I look now and the weight loss, Angus especially is getting a real kick out of it. Like, he'll come up to me and he'll wrap his arms around me and he'll go, "Mum, my hands reach here now." Like the first time he did it and he could actually close his hands, he was just like, "Mum, I can close my hands when I hug you now." And oh my God, like I didn't cry then, but I kind of like snuck off to my room later and had a cry. And it's just the little things, right? Like it hadn't even occurred to me that I was missing out on being hugged that way by my son. God, I'm going to cry.
Yeah. And so for context, how old is Angus?
He's 8. He's 8, and he's a little 8. He's a little, like he hasn't had that kind of that first growth spurt yet. So he's a little 8, yeah.
And you've got an almost teenage daughter too.
Yeah, who's just hitting puberty or recently, so she's going through all that. I mean, and that's another part of it, like perimenopause, which everyone's heard me talk about before, like that all played into it. I'm in my mid-40s now. So the burnout, it just, it reached this point where it's like something's got to change. I don't like the person I've become, and no one can do this but me. No one can do it but me.
So the burnout and that kind of decision point, was that the catalyst, or like what made you actually decide, okay, this is when I'm going to start focusing on my health, and then inadvertently obviously trying to lose weight? Because that was purposeful to try and lose weight, right?
Yes. I knew that was going to be one of my goals for this year. Coming out of burnout, I think it was like, oh, this hasn't helped the burnout being unhealthy. But God, I don't think I've shared this with you. The real slap around the face for me was looking at one photo from last year's awards in particular. And I just went, fuck, how did that happen? How did I let myself get to that point?
Seeing photos, it makes it really real, doesn't it? And you have seen a lot of photos of yourself. So one photo in particular, wow, no, you've never mentioned that.
That's the thing. Like we see ourselves all the time here. Everything we put out online for the business, we're the face of our business. But yeah, it wasn't until seeing one particular photo, and I was like, who's that person? Who is that person? Yeah, it was one particular shot, and it was around my face, and I had absolutely no, what's this part?
Definition of your jawline?
Gone. That is an overweight, unhealthy person, and I don't want to be that person anymore.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. How did you then, so talk to us, like what would be typical kind of like Sam in terms of eating, and like what was normal for you leading up to that point? Like what did that look like?
Probably a lot of snacking. Yeah, I think the main meals that I was eating were healthy. Probably the portions were too high, especially at dinner, too bigger portions at dinner.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I was eating in those main meals, very healthy, whole foods. Late night snacking was a big thing. And that had only started for me when I kind of started going into perimenopause. I never used to be a late night snacker. I never used to have a sweet tooth. But those two things did all of a sudden, perimenopause, I would almost be eating an extra meal at night. And that's not good.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the end of 2024 and Christmas is approaching. So what was your thought process around like, right, I've seen that photo, Christmas is coming. Like, how did you decide when you were going to start this?
Yeah. That's the thing, right? You've got to be mentally prepared. Like this is not something you can half-ass. It's not something I can half-ass anyway. I don't know if that's just me. Like I'm
You're an
all in
all or
or I'm not.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because I know that about myself, it didn't matter. Like I've been overweight since having the babies, since having the kids. So calling it baby weight when your youngest is 8, that's just an excuse, really. It was the catalyst, but then it just got worse and worse and worse. So knowing that I'm a going all in or not person, it had the timing. Oh, it's really hard, right? We say there's never going to be a right time, but I almost feel as though with things like this, there is going to be a right time and you need to be mentally prepared for that. So saying to myself, right, okay, I'm going to start this year of health in the middle of burnout was never going to be great. I was going to be setting myself up to fail.
Yeah.
Doing it before Christmas, I knew then I wasn't going to fully enjoy the Christmas parties, the barbecues, the drinking. That would have just been a whole lot of guilt around that. So I thought, you know what, as kind of cliche as it is, I'm going to do the 1st of January. So yeah, that was my thing. I'm going to start in January. I actually think I ended up doing it from Boxing Day. It didn't blow out at Christmas, but I just felt shit. I felt really, really shit. And I was just like, oh, this whole 1st of January, I'm just going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to start tomorrow. I've had enough. I don't want to wait another week. I was ready. It was like Christmas was done. I'm like, okay, let's start this.
Nice.
I had, knowing that I was going to start it in the new year, I had ordered a box from Love Your Guts in Australia because all of the research that I'd been doing, because I wanted to do my research. I wanted to know, okay, it's one thing saying I'm going to start in January, but what am I going to do?
Yeah. Okay. So you planned this.
I planned it. It's like, okay, right. So I'm going to start in January. So I ordered a foundation box from Love Your Guts because I knew, given the research that I'd done, that it wasn't going to just be about the food or the exercise, the movement, I should say. It was going to be my gut health. And the more research I did on gut health, the more kind of my gut was screaming that my gut was unhealthy, that this wasn't going to work until I actually worked on the inside that was already there, the damage that had been done for years and years and years. Like that wasn't going to go away on its own. And I think it was a podcast that you sent it to Tisha and I, and you were like, you guys have to listen to this or have to watch this. And I was like, oh, here we go. Stop telling me what to do, Joe. But I watched it. Now, do you remember what that podcast was?
I'm sure it was the Mindy Pal's interview. Was it with
Diary of a CEO?
Was it yes, it was. It was the Diary of a CEO, Mindy Pal's. Okay, I'm going to link that down in the description so that you can go and have a listen to that if you're interested.
Yeah. So I listened to that and I was in tears. I was absolutely in tears. So
sorry about that.
Yeah. No, but in a good way. Like I felt for the first time in my perimenopause journey, and we'll talk about that on a different episode because that's a whole other discussion. But it's important though, because it's all links in, right? It was the first time that I felt seen and understood, like these things that I had been experiencing. I was like, oh my God, yes. Okay, I'm not going crazy. This makes so much sense. And she went into gut health and the importance of your gut health when you do hit perimenopause age. And no one had ever mentioned about gut health and perimenopause up until then, that I'd come across anyway. Yeah. And it was like, okay, so gut health, this is not only going to help in terms of my weight loss journey, but if this can help in terms of my perimenopause journey as well, there are just too many. I can't ignore this. I've got to give it a go.
Yeah. It felt like everything that I had started reading and looking at, and you would have noticed this too, it's like so much research is now done on it. Everything starts in your gut.
Yeah.
Your gut is linked to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Your gut affects every part of every other function inside your body. Yeah. And so I love that you started there.
Yeah,
Amazing
that
starting
was
point,
the
right?
first thing, yeah, yep,
Mhm.
so taking all the various different supplements. So I'm still doing Love Your Guts. Yeah, I can't see that stopping anytime soon. I immediately, within a week, I've noticed the difference in terms of all of that digestive thing going on.
Mm.
So it definitely worked. So I won't be stopping that anytime soon. I might kind of like swap out some of the stuff that they offer, but
So
yeah,
this is different supplements, teas, drops, a bunch of things that they have curated together into a box, right? That is gonna support your gut
don't
health.
ask me exactly what they are because I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. You've
But
only been taking them for 9 months.
I've only been taking them for 9 hours. I've got no idea what I take.
Yeah, okay, we'll link that Love Your Guts box down below as well.
Oh well. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Boxing Day comes around, you
Mhm.
start with Love Your Guts. What else do you do at that time, or is it just the Love Your Guts?
No, so in that same podcast, so the doctor on there also talked a lot about intermittent fasting. Now, this wasn't new to me. It's
Mm.
something that Mark has done in the past. And I've kind of just rolled my eyes around it. I'm like, well, you're just skipping a meal. Like, that can't be healthy. And and I
Mm.
don't know, you'd be the same, Joe. This whole breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
It has been ingrained in me since I was a baby. You do not skip breakfast. You need that
Mhm.
breakfast in order to set you up for the rest of the day. Well, it turns out I can skip breakfast and it's worked really well for me.
I feel like the breakfast is the most important meal of the day actually came from like a tagline with a cereal company.
Yes.
They actually started that. So
Yes. No,
I've
you're
been
right.
programmed to believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So once again, I didn't just like go into it willy-nilly. I did my research. I figured out what I thought would work for me in terms of what type of fasting that I would do. And I think I was really lucky. I haven't had to change it. Like I set my eating window,
which is?
which is 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. So I can eat during that period. I cannot
Mhm.
eat before or after.
Yeah.
So and that was really down to, okay, well, what time do I cook dinner for the kids? Okay. So that's going to be kind of like the latest. And then I worked backwards and it's like, okay, well, what's like 7 or 8 hours from there? Yeah. I think it must be eight. Is that 8 hours?
8
11
hours,
to
yeah.
7? Yes.
Yeah.
I decided that seemed like it wasn't too excessive. I wasn't going to my body wasn't going to go, what the heck are you doing? I thought an 8 hour window, that's plenty of time to get all of the energy and nutrition that I needed. And it was totally going to make me stop snacking at night. So on this podcast that you'd sent me through, one of the things that I wrote down when I was furiously writing notes, like I think I underlined it and bolded it, was not eating it when it's dark. Oh, God, that's such a simple rule. Not eating when it's dark. That makes so much sense.
Well, we wouldn't have back before electricity.
No, yeah. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
all right. I just don't eat when it's dark. And then I kind of just added to that. So that eating window is a bit earlier. So yeah. So that first day, started the Love Your Guts Foundation box and started the intermittent fasting that first day. And I haven't looked back.
So in terms of, I'm thinking those listening are like, but what about my morning coffee?
I cheat. I have a
Okay.
coffee. I have a
Okay.
coffee.
Yeah.
So technically, well, that's the thing, right? You've got to find something, but you've got to make it work for you. And it's
Mhm.
important that it's sustainable. So I didn't want to introduce something to my new routine that I wasn't going to be able to live with forever.
Yes.
And
This is a lifestyle change, not a
this
diet you
is
went on.
not a diet. I didn't want to be going without. So then I end up binging or missing something or craving something. So then you end up binging. It had everything that I introduced It was very intentional. It had to be something that I could see myself doing forever. So I can totally see myself eating between 11 and 7 forever. I mean, of course, if I was to go out or if there was a party or something on, I'm not going to be sorry I can't eat, or we all have to go out and eat early. There's going to be times where I'm going to have to be flexible on that.
Yeah.
But overall, on a day-to-day basis, yeah. Yeah. So technically, you can have coffee, intermittent fasting. However, it's supposed to be black. So as soon as you start adding your dairy with your milk and stuff, then that's then broken your fast. But so I broke that rule, but I still consider myself fasting.
Yeah.
But I have a coffee. I have one coffee. Yeah.
Okay. And so what happens in your eating window? Like, what does that actually look like for you?
So 11 o'clock starts, and so I have an early lunch. 11 o'clock will be my early lunch.
And what would you typically have?
I would typically have some rice, vegetables, and protein.
Oh,
pretty simple.
Okay. And then when would you eat next?
I will have a snack in the afternoon. So normally when the kids come home and they're snacking, I'll go, oh, or when I start prepping dinner, I'll be like, oh, I'm hungry. So I will have a Coke Zero and I will have cheese and pickle.
Talk to us about the cheese and pickle. Like, that's an unusual snack. But when you started talking about pickle before we came on, I was like, oh, I actually feel like pickles. That'd be really nice. So why pickles?
Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed pickled stuff anyway. But yeah, learning about, especially the Asian cultures, they're big on, and even Europe, right? Kraut. That's German, I think.
Yeah.
Kimchi. Like they have Asian cultures have kimchi with every meal, or they'll be drinking something vinegary as well. Like it's all helps with your digestion, which helps with your gut health. So I thought, oh my God, right? Okay. So got a whole heap of kraut and pickles and yeah,
great for your snack.
Great snack.
So not with crackers, but just cheese and pickles.
Cheese and pickles. So one of my go-tos, so my favorite kind of afternoon snack is I'll slice off a bit of cheese. I'll cut it in half. I'll cut a big ass gherkin in half, especially a spicy gherkin. You can get spicy gherkins. Yum. So I'll have a slice of cheese, half a gherkin, and then some like beetroot hummus or something on top of that. It's so good.
Nice. This is all about the fermentation process, right? The kimchi, the sauerkraut, all of that fermentation, really good for your gut health. Cool. Yeah. Okay. And then, so you're cooking tea, then what does dinner look like?
So we've done HelloFresh meals for many years, I think since like lockdown type of time. And it's so good. Like it tells you how many calories are in your meals that you're selecting. So you know exactly how many calories and what's healthy and what's not. So no change. Like I just eat what I normally would eat.
Would you eat less in the meal?
Yeah. So probably I'm watching the portions. We have more leftovers nowadays, but I don't feel like I never feel hungry. If I was to feel hungry,
satiated.
Yes. If I was to ever feel hungry, then I know I need to go eat some more. And I'm probably then aware of what I'm putting in. Like, am I eating protein? I'm not going to eat something that's heavily processed. I'm not going to go to something that's in a bag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you do feel like you want to have some kind of, what would you call it? Like a treat or like something that's outside of that kind of norm, what does that look like for you now?
Well, I mean, I think because the dinners haven't changed, it's really just the portion of the dinner. I'm just aware of the portion. Like it doesn't feel as though I'm missing out. Like, you know, we'll have a HelloFresh with a burger or the pasta or the curry. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not about doing without, but we will have like Friday nights has always been our takeaway night.
Yeah.
And why stop that? Because then I'm just going to crave it if I was to stop it. So, I mean, I think last week we had Chinese. The week before that, I think we had pizza. At KFC, like the kids love McDonald's. If they want McDonald's one week, we'll have McDonald's. And I'm not going to go without.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a takeaway meal once a week. HelloFresh the rest of the time. And then what about like, you know, chips, chocolate? What are this other kind of what people might call a treat food. How do you navigate that? Do
Yeah.
you just go without? Do you?
No. But I won't go overboard either. So, there's a lot of science around calorie deficit, right? So being like, I don't count them to the point where it's like, oh, here we go. I can't eat this now, but I'm
Mhm.
aware of them. So I kind of know because HelloFresh tells you how many calories are in each meal. So I obviously know
Yeah.
what dinner's going to be. I pretty much have the same lunch. Obviously, sauces will change out, the veggies will change out, the type of protein will change out. So
Yeah.
even though it doesn't taste the same, in terms of the amount of calories, it's usually around 250 calories for my lunch. And so I know what's left. I know that, okay, if I was to have a chocolate tonight, okay, I can have a chocolate tonight because look at like calories are so low and I can still have a chocolate and be in a calorie deficit. Or like last night, I'd pretty much had my calories intake for the day, approximately. Once again, I'm not obsessive over it. But my period's due. And God, I needed that chocolate. I needed it. Like there is no way. But I didn't want to feel guilty over it. So I had a chocolate. And my body was like, oh yeah, you needed that bit of chocolate. Having over Twix, you know.
Yeah. So you are. What I'm hearing is that you are more intuitive in your eating and thinking about your portion. So not eating until you're super full, and that you are kind of conscious about your protein. What could I have that is a protein source?
Yeah.
And if people read your bio, you talk about chips and dip. So what does having chips look like for you now?
Yeah. I love chips and dip. That would be my downfall would be chips and dip. So instead of walking around the house with a big ass bag of chips and just chowing down and going about my day, and then you look down and you've eaten a whole big family size thing of chips, it's like, you know what? I feel like some chips today. So it's about getting that bag and having a handful and putting it in a bowl and then doing up the rest of the bag and putting it back in the pantry. So it's not in front of me. So you're not then aimlessly just snacking. So you're snacking. And is it the healthiest? No. But I'm enjoying it. And I've got to, this is once again, it would be unrealistic to expect someone that's obsessed with chips and dip to completely cut out chips and dip from their diet.
Yeah.
That's
okay, so you have
not
it less
sustainable.
often and you have a smaller portion.
Yeah.
But you're not letting yourself miss out.
I think with me, because that's probably the biggest temptation is a bag of chips. And I don't want my kids to go without. Like I want them to be able to have some chips in the afternoon if they want it or at the weekends. So when I'm placing the shopping order, I will purposely get the plainest chips you can get now. Whereas when I didn't care about any of this, I didn't care about being healthy, like I would be choosing my favorite chips. Whereas now it's like Bluebird, cheapest, plainless, you know. It won't be any fancy chips that I would literally just go.
Yeah. Okay, so repairing your gut, putting in those fermented foods, reducing that window with the intermittent fasting, being more intentional about what you're eating.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what started happening when you did that?
The weight literally just dropped off. Like I want to say effortlessly, but that's a lie because I'd say the first 3 months were the hardest getting out of the bad habits. As soon as you change the habits, right? That's when it feels like it has been effortless.
Because you now have new habits.
New habits. To me, though, I need to see, I know some people decide not to weigh themselves, very kind of like going off their how their clothes are fitting is enough for them. That I knew that wouldn't work for me. I need to see the result and I need to see it relatively quickly. But equally, I don't want to be stepping on the scales every day either and become obsessed and get really unhealthy about it as well. Because I can get quite obsessive about things. I would say I have the tendency to have an addictive personality or overeating. It's an addiction, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go from being addicted to eating to being addicted to losing weight. And there's been a couple of conversations that we've had when I've been disappointed with my weight loss and I've gone, I know this is unhealthy. I know that I need to stop my train of thought now because this could get into some unhealthy habits. So I've had to be really, really aware of that. But equally, I've needed to see the results on the scale, not just the way my clothes fit, in order to get that boost to go, oh my God, yes, I'll do it another week. Oh my God, that feels so great. Just that surge of being really proud and seeing the effort of the work put into it. I've needed each week to keep going, especially in that first 3 months where I was creating healthier habits.
Okay, so what did weighing yourself look like? What was your system for that?
Same day, same time, once a week. Wearing the same thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then tracking it.
Track it?
Yeah, tracking it for sure. Mark's got this spreadsheet with a fucking graph. So I can so good. It's so good. So that's become his thing. So I can't even remember how long it was. I didn't want to know my weight. So even at the start, oh God, I've forgotten about this. At the start, I didn't want to know how much I weighed. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't want to know exactly. But I wanted to know my loss. So Mark would be the one. I would literally take my glasses off because without my glasses, I'm fucking blind as a bat. I'd stand on the scale. I would looking down. My eyesight's that bad. Looking down, I wouldn't be able to see without my glasses. Wow. So Mark would be in with me, and he would jot down what the number was, and then he'd call me in to the office once he had entered it in the graph, and all he'd show me was the amount that I'd lost, and show me on the graph this is it. See, you're still going down, and it's steady. And it wasn't until I think it was hitting 80. Was it 90 or 80? I can't remember now. It seems like so long ago. I was like, okay, once I've hit, it was either 80 or 90 kgs. Once I've hit that, then I want to know what my actual number is. So that was the first time I really fully celebrated. It's like, hell, yes, okay, this is great. And so from then, seeing a number on the scale wasn't disheartening to me. Like I didn't.
Because you're more comfortable with the number.
More comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You've touched on something that I want to dive into, and that is the support of Mark, your husband, in this. What was the conversation like when you first talked to him about wanting to go on this weight loss journey, this health journey?
Yeah.
Did he do it with you? And then how important was that support that he gave you?
He's been very, very supportive. To start with, we were going to do it kind of together. He wasn't ready though. And, we talked about earlier on, you have to be ready and you've got to do it for yourself, not for somebody else. So as much as it would have helped me even more, I think doing it with somebody else, if that person's not ready, you just got to let it go. So this was about me then. So he helped me in terms of like the weigh-ins. He helped me with like celebrating the wins. He helped calm me down every time. Like I've never had a loss. So in 9 months, I've never had a gain on the scales in 9 months. But I have had losses that I've been disappointed with, which isn't good. Like I'm aware of that. But he's been really good, like giving me a bit of a slap around the face, metaphorically. Just saying.
Not literally.
Not literally. Just saying you've got to look at the bigger picture and reminding me that, okay, when you look at numbers, Sam, you don't actually realize what that number is. Once again, this is the thing with my brain and numbers. So every time I did kind of go, oh, that doesn't feel like a lot, he'd send me into the kitchen or reminded me that I needed to go hold something. I needed to find something that weighed that amount, put it on the kitchen scale and go, fucking hell, you know what? 200 grams is actually quite hefty. Like where did that's no longer on my body.
Yeah. Okay. So you could visually then see helped you, not just like trying to think of a number.
Another big support from him was, well, we've talked about this, Joe. People don't tell you that it's expensive to lose weight. Like, it's fucking expensive. In terms of my whole wardrobe, I am having to replace my entire wardrobe from everything. Even my shoes. I've gone down a size and a half in my shoes. So my bras, my undies, pretty much every single piece of item in my clothing, in my wardrobe, doesn't fit. So, and not once, every time I go, you know what, I need to go out and I need to buy something to wear. He has never once rolled his eyes. He's never once said, this is not a good time. We've got this bill to pay. He's never once gone, oh, really, again? Haven't you bought enough this year? Which has been amazing. And I don't know if this is just a me personally thing, but I mean, you've seen, I've purchased things throughout the year as I've lost weight, which then don't fit a month later. Like
That's very expensive.
5 sizes, five sizes, I think.
5 sizes. Wow. Yeah.
So
and you have to work through all those sizes, otherwise you don't have anything that you can wear.
Well, that's the thing. Am I going to feel good about myself waiting until I've reached my ultimate goal, wearing stuff that's at my biggest that I've ever been? Like, that doesn't make sense either. It also financially doesn't make sense to be buying clothes that you're only going to wear for a few weeks. I kind of learned from that, I think. But he never made me feel guilty for that whatsoever. So I really, really appreciate that. He knew I needed it in order to feel good about myself and to continue on. But yeah, financially, that's expensive.
Yes. So, okay, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you gotten rid of your large clothes completely out of your house? Are they gone?
Yeah, so I've, I think, done 3 massive clear outs, and this was another big thing for me. I didn't want to have the plan B. I knew if I kept, I mean, some of these clothes, and I had quite a wardrobe. I may be big, but
you did.
Fabulous
wardrobe.
I had some beautiful, beautiful things. There were some things that I didn't want to let go of. But then it was like, gosh, even if I was to take that in, like, you're my favorite, but even if I was to take you in, you just don't suit me anymore.
Yeah.
So I've literally cried over stuff that I've donated. I haven't sold any of it. I've given stuff away and I've donated it.
So it's gone.
Yeah. So 3 times so far, I've had to just, out of the house. It's not there. There's not this. Yeah, it's not a backup. It's not well, if I do put on weight, I've got this amazing wardrobe that I can just fall back into. No, I don't need that. I'm never going to need that again.
Amazing, Sam. That must have been very difficult for you. And to decide that, no, that is the old me and this, I'm not going back to that, is a big deal, a really big deal.
Yeah, I worried about whether or not it was the right thing to do for a while. Because once again, financially, replacing that again, like, what if I was to put on weight again and then I have to replace the whole wardrobe again? Like, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I was like, well, but why would I need that again? Because it's not a diet. It's not. I'm not going to be yo-yoing. This is the way I live now.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, there are definitely some other things that you have added, right? Because you didn't go full on and do all of the things that you're doing now. You didn't start doing all of those on the 1st of Jan. So there was the intermittent fasting, changing, what you're eating and stuff. What else have you kind of added to that? What other habits have you got in place that you are now like living as your new lifestyle?
So sleep is big. Like, we've had so many discussions about sleep, right, Joe? How important sleep is. And part of my bad sleeping habits was due to just that doom scrolling at night. A, it's not good for sleep, but B, it's just not good for your mental health. It's not good for your relationships. It's just not good full stop. There's nothing good about doom scrolling at night. I don't think there's anything healthy about that. And so Mark actually had found this app and he'd started using it. And I thought, you know what? I mean, we're paying for this anyway. So the app is called Freedom, and you are now on it as well, which is
Mhm.
great. And it basically just locks. It locks down my phone. I mean, you've got some choices to what it does lock down and what it doesn't.
Mm.
And you set the time as to when you want your phone to be locked, and then you set when you want it to be unlocked. And it forces literally, like I'll be doom scrolling, and then 9 o'clock, my phone just goes, "Yum, the Freedom app is now working its magic. Go do something else now."
Yeah, and mine is set for 9:30, and it's the most annoying thing at that time. It's like, I was literally halfway through watching a video and you cut me off, damn you phone.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "No, this is good. Okay, right, I'm doing something else now."
It's so good. Yeah, at the time, you're just like, "Fuck you." Like, it was really important that I was watching, and then you think, "Was it really? Was it really
No,
important? Or was
can't
it
even remember what it was now.
some random reel on Instagram or TikTok, or
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
comparing myself, or I was watching some other business or some other coach doing great things, and it was just making me feel shit about what I wasn't doing." Yeah.
Yeah.
So Freedom app, amazing.
And
Highly recommend.
the reason why we went with the Freedom app, and I'm assuming this is for you as well and Mark, is that yes, there are options you can put on your phone like a do not disturb between
Mhm.
certain hours. But the difference is the Freedom app, when it shuts down your apps for the night, you cannot you cannot change it. You cannot open it. You can't go into the settings. You can't like access your phone. And do you know
Yeah.
what? I even tried to go one time. I actually did need to. And I went on the desktop version and went in to try and change it. And I still couldn't because it was currently in a locked
Mm,
session. I
yeah.
couldn't even change it partway through the session.
Yeah.
It was that lockdown.
Mark has found a way because he had to do it one night. In all fairness, it was
Don't tell
literally
me.
no.
Don't tell
I
me.
said to him, "Don't tell me how you did it." He literally had a work emergency.
Yes,
So
right.
and even though the things that he shuts down still should allow him to work, however, there was something he needed to look up on Reddit, of all
Mm.
places. There's a particular forum that he belongs to in Reddit, an IT security thing that he belongs to.
Mm.
No one else online had this answer to or this update to whatever was happening, and he knew if he could get into Reddit, that this particular forum would have the answer. So he found a workaround, so he
Mm.
could get onto Reddit, and it did. Fucking Reddit had the answer. Like, of all these this big security breach that was happening
Mm.
around the world, bloody Reddit had the answer that he needed, of all
Yeah.
places. There is a way around it, but we won't tell you. We won't tell
We
you.
won't tell you. So for me, I'll just kind of explain how it works. I have gone in and I have got it to lock all of my social media apps, all of the apps that I would just be like aimlessly doing stuff on, but I can still see my messages. I can make phone calls and I can see my Aura sleep app
Yeah.
and I can use my gym app to book my session for the next day. That's it. I can't do anything else.
Yeah, I think I shut down all of the social media, our Slack, so I'm not
Hmm.
tempted to go into
Yep, same.
Slack, and Messenger, Facebook Messenger, because I get a lot of work DMs. If it was
Yep.
just personal, I wouldn't feel the need to shut that down, but I get a lot of work stuff through the things.
I also can't go on the internet, so I can't go onto
Mm,
Chrome app
yeah,
or
me
anything
too.
like
Yeah,
that.
internet's
Mhm.
down. Internet's
Yeah.
down.
So
So good.
how did that impact your sleep, having that app?
Oh, like I go to sleep pretty much immediately when it is time for me to go to sleep. None of this kind of tossing and turning. And generally, not every night. Like if there's other stuff on my mind, I might have a restless sleep. Like currently, right now, in the lead up to the awards, yeah, my brain finds it harder to switch off. But overall, I sleep through the night as well. Whereas I'm not waking up at 3 o'clock. And because if I was to wake up at 3 o'clock, what's the first thing you do? You reach for your phone, right, to see what the time is. And then
Mhm.
you go, oh, well, the phone's in my hand. I'm just going to go check my messages or check Slack or scroll for a bit. Freedom app doesn't allow you to do that because it doesn't switch on for me until, God, I think it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Amazing. What else have you changed or added in your new lifestyle?
I mean, it's pretty basic stuff in terms of like drinking more water and staying
Mhm.
hydrated.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a biggie. I've recently started using magnesium oil. So not tablets, but oil, and spray that on the soles of my feet and then massage it in. It's early days. So they say for 3 to 4 weeks, just do it on the soles of your feet while you get used to it. And then you can start introducing it like on your belly and things like that, some like problem areas. So a
Mhm.
lot of people think magnesium is just for sleep, and it is. It's big for sleep, but it also bloating, because my stomach is probably still my problem area in terms of
Mhm.
my body shape now. And also your stress zones. What do they call it? Your cortisone levels?
Your cortisol levels?
Thank you. Cortisol
Mhm.
levels.
Mhm.
Yes. It's supposed to help with that. So very early days in terms of magnesium oil, but I'll let you know how that goes. So far, it's definitely helping the sleep. Yeah, I'm really hoping the rest of it, that kind of constant state of stress that we found ourselves in for a long time because
Yeah.
of the burnout, that doesn't go away on its own. It does not go away on its own. You need to be intentional in terms of getting back to normal levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Turmeric, been doing that lately. That's outside of the Love Your Gut stuff as well. So that's just another supplement that I've been taking outside of that. I've heard, once again, good for digestion, bloating, but also health. So I wanted to improve my health because, I mean, everything, you start seeing it on your skin, right? And I noticed my
Mhm.
skin, especially coming out of burnout, was shocking. Like, and hormones with perimenopause, all of a sudden, for the first time in decades, like breakouts, like adult acne, like, no, thank you.
And how is that now?
But it's still there. It's a lot better. I've now got an old lady's like nighttime skincare routine, I call it, 3 or 4 steps, and that's definitely helping. Changing products, like, as you get older, like
Mm.
the makeup that you used to use, the skincare that you used to use, even the shampoo you used to use, I've found a lot of it just is not effective anymore. So I've had to kind of experiment using different products because it must be a hormonal thing. It's got to be a hormonal thing. All of a sudden, like, your body just needs different things.
Yeah. So you're touching on the perimenopause and hormones there. So what
Mhm.
have you done for supporting your hormones with the replacement therapy?
Yeah. So I'm on HRT. So
Mhm.
I went straight onto HRT. Highest dose. Yeah. It's really interesting. They start you off on a very low dose, obviously, and see how your body is gonna react. It very quickly became apparent that that wasn't enough for me. Very intuitive. Like, I've learned to trust my gut and to listen to my body and to not kind of bow down to medical professionals all the time. They don't
Mhm.
always know best. So I know my body. I know my body really well, and I know that the low doses that they were wanting me to stay on weren't doing the trick. And so, yeah, I'm on the highest dose
Cool.
and very good.
So
It's working for me. It's working for me.
we're going to go on a deep dive
Yeah,
into
it's a whole
perimenopause and
it's
hormones in a different episode, but I wanted
horrific.
to mention it because that is also something that's supporting you with your health and well-being and happiness right now, right?
Oh, yes. It's played a big part in it. I
Mm.
mean, it isn't, once again, it's not a silver bullet, right? There are no silver bullets. Like, if you notice all the stuff we've talked about, like, it's covering quite a few different elements, right?
Yeah.
It's not just
Mhm.
one thing. It's the whole picture. It's
Mm.
the lifestyle.
Now, I find this next thing absolutely fascinating. You mentioned movement at the beginning, but you have not added a vigorous exercise routine or any kind of extra movement in this last 9 months of your weight loss journey, right? Talk to us about the decision around that.
Yeah, I think this is what shocked people the most. Like, there's this assumption that in order to lose a lot of weight and to then maintain that weight that you want to maintain, you need to be doing massive workouts on a daily basis and sweating and all that. Yeah, I have not set foot in a gym. I've got gym equipment in my garage. So I have it has been in there for years. I've got a walker, I've got a cross
You mean a
trainer
treadmill?
thing, and I've got a bike. In terms of cardio gear, like, it's all there, and I haven't used it. I haven't
Mhm.
used it. So there's a plan. Like, as soon as I've hit my final goal and I'm at my ideal weight, then I'm going to introduce some strength training. But there is no need to up until then. There's no need to.
I love that you said strength training and not say introduce cardio.
Well, no.
Strength training is so important, especially for us now in our 40s.
Can you imagine me going out
Far
running now?
over.
All of a sudden, I'm in my, like, mid-40s and I wanna introduce running? Like, my joints and my bones would probably
Mm.
go, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'd probably break an ankle. I'd be miserable. Like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
that makes no sense. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
have done no more than oh, look, I'm gonna be honest here. Like, I don't have even a moderately active lifestyle. Like, if you were
Mm.
to rate my movement every day, I'm very low active. Very low active.
And it just goes to show that losing weight for you in your journey was all around that food and shortening the window and being intentional about that food, right? After you've repaired your gut.
Yeah. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think
Mm.
it was possible. The first time I lost a lot of weight after having Isabella, so
Mhm.
between kids, and I did that with the support of I don't know if they still offer it here in New Zealand, but I was referred to a green prescription. So the GP sent me to Sport Waikato, and so you have somebody that you meet with who's all about, movement, nutrition, the whole thing. And they help you set up a lifestyle plan, I guess, in terms of
Mhm.
your diet, in terms of your movement and exercise and things like that. And that worked for me back then, given that, this is how many years ago? Over 12 years ago. No, not that long, about 10 years ago. But a big part of that was exercise. Like, I had to ease into it, but it was 6 days a week of exercise. And so I assumed I was going to have to introduce some cardio at some point this year. And my kind of there was no professional advice. This is very intuitive. I just
Mm.
decided that I would introduce this cardio as soon as I started seeing my weight plateau.
Yeah.
If I saw my weight plateau, I was going to go, okay, that's my indicator that my body has got used to what I'm doing in terms of how I'm fueling my body. So it obviously then needs something else, but it
Yeah.
has never plateaued. So I haven't needed to
Mm.
do it, which reinforced the whole thing that it's
Mm.
more about what you put into your body rather than the exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Put it into your body once your gut is repaired. I think we can't
Yeah.
skip over the gut health being repaired
Mm.
first. Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Like, I wouldn't want to go back and do it differently, but it would be interesting to see if I hadn't done the gut
Mhm.
health, whether or not I would be as successful as I
Mm.
have been. Yeah, and
Yeah.
as consistent in terms of that weight loss.
Yeah. My intuition says that you wouldn't have had the same results as you are experiencing now.
I feel like I wouldn't either. I feel like I
Mm.
wouldn't either. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Is there anything that we have not talked about that's in your notes, Sam, that you want to mention?
Yeah, maybe The guilt
Mhm.
that can come up when you're doing something like this. I mean, I haven't had to take time out of the house to go to the gym on a regular basis or,
Mhm.
so it's not necessarily that guilt. I think for me, the spending money on something that is purely me, and that's not just things like, updating my wardrobe. It's the supplements. It's the
Mhm.
love your gut stuff. It's the oils. It's the self-care stuff, right? Like that took a while to be really comfortable doing that without feeling guilty that that's just wasting money because it's just for me. Like it's for no one
Yeah.
else in the family, right? And then the mindset shift that I had to make around that was, well, actually it does benefit everybody else. They might not be taking the supplements. They may not be having the oil rubbed into their body. They might not be eating the kraut, but they're getting a better version of Mum and Sam. So it does benefit them. So every time
Mhm.
I feel guilty about placing another order or trying a different supplement and just giving it a go, or trying a different skin care cleanser or whatever it is, it's like, you know what? It does benefit everybody. It's not just me. This is not a selfish thing. Yeah.
Not at all. No. Okay. Advice for final words for anyone who is listening and thinking, try to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to get healthier. What is your advice for them?
Stop with the excuses. The whole I mean, I started buying into it's harder to lose weight when you're in a woman in your 40s. It's because of perimenopause, so it's okay. Like, no, not okay. You've got I think you need to plan for it. The
Mm.
timing has to be right. It has to be right in order for you to be able to fully commit to it. But also planning, like thinking about when you're gonna start, making sure you do start on that date that you plan, but what do you need in order what do you need having ready to go for when that date does come? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, there's no silver bullet. Like, it wasn't just one thing that has got me to this point where I've lost 35 kgs in less than 9 months. It wasn't just one thing. It's a multitude of things that I've worked on. Whatever you do, whatever you introduce that's working, it's got to be sustainable. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna put it back on.
You're going to feel like you're missing out, right? Yeah. Accountability. Who is holding you accountable in all this? Anyone? Did you
Me?
get it from someone?
No, because I don't think even like the weekly weigh-ins, like Mark wasn't the one going, "Okay, it's time to weigh
Mm.
in." Like it was me. I've done it myself.
Yeah.
But I think that's my personality. As I said at the beginning, like it may take me a while to get there, but once I'm there, I am all in. And I
Mm.
didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to let myself down.
Yeah. Amazing story, Sam. And you're not done. You're not done yet, which I think is incredible. Can we talk about the one thing we haven't spoken about, and that is what you are thinking about doing next around your tummy area? Because I think for those who have this much weight to lose,
Yeah.
there is something else that they need to think about, isn't there?
Well, I mean, that skin just doesn't magically go away, right? And and this may not be for everybody, but given my problem area mainly was my tummy, and coming off the back of 2 emergency C-sections, like, that doesn't help in terms of what do they call it? Like, the mum pouch? Is that what they
Mhm.
call it? Like yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
So, I knew going in that I was gonna end up having an issue with loose skin and that mummy pouch in my tummy area. Like I could see, I knew it. I could see it coming a mile off that was gonna happen. So I couldn't let that stop me, even though I knew, okay, I'm going to be very, very self-conscious about that area of my body. And it doesn't matter what type of strength training that I'm going to very soon be introducing, there is still going to be a pouch and there is still going to be a lot of loose skin. That's not going to go away without surgery, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch the space. Watch the space. I had a conversation with Mark. I haven't had any consultations with anybody, although I have had some friends suggest some really good plastic surgeons here in the Waikato, especially, worth looking into. It's not cheap, and you got to think about the recovery time. Although I figure if I can recover from emergency C-sections times 2, traumatic births, I'm pretty sure that I can recover from cosmetic surgery on my stomach. Yeah, not cheap. It's definitely in the thousands, but I've had a word with Mark about it, and it's like, okay, so if I was to, how do you feel about that? Yeah, and he's on board. Obviously, we don't have that money sitting there. I'd have to, put it aside and save for it. But knowing that he's like, hey, if that's going to make you feel better about yourself, I don't care if you have it or not, but if you need that, I'm all for it. The question there is, where do you stop, right? Like I kind of go, right, well, if I'm under the knife anyway, having the loose skin on my tummy removed, do I get my boobs lifted as well? Because it's like, where do you stop? Where do you stop? But yeah, apparently a mummy makeover is an actual thing where you can have both done at the same time, apparently. I don't know.
We will keep you updated how this decision goes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sam, for being so open and transparent about all of this, because I know that some of this is very uncomfortable to talk about, and like this is very raw and real about what you are going through. So appreciate that you are so open with everyone who is listening, and I know that this is really going to help those who want to start that getting healthy journey. Yeah, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, if it helps somebody else that is listening who may be in the same boat, right? Especially if you are in your 40s and all of a sudden a lot of stuff has changed and yeah, you want to make a change. If it helps.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.